Good evening, everybody. It's just after 7 on a Monday night, and it's time to go wild. Welcome to the Time to Go Wild radio show here on Halton Community Radio 92.3 FM. We are also live across the internet on ws.hcr923fm.com/listen and on TuneIn. You can contact the show, radio@widnesworld.co.uk, and via Facebook and Twitter.com/ttgw radio. You can contact us by telephone 01928 835 291 and by text 07716 672 874. Start your messages with TTGW. All messages charged at your standard network rate. I hope you're ready. It's time to go wild. Oh, what a week. What a weekend.
It was. Good weekend.
Hi, Doug. Oh.
Good evening.
Oh boy, oh boy. Evening, everybody. Welcome to the Time to Go Wild radio show. It's Halton Community Radio 92.3 FM with you between now and 8 o'clock. We are bringing you a little roundup of everything that's been going on in the world of ice hockey. And this weekend didn't quite go to plan on Saturday for the Wild, unfortunately.
No, I think, I believe one of the referees couldn't get there.
Yeah, so
it was unfortunately cancelled.
So as soon as we know or hear anything, or just keep your eyes peeled on social media, the Widnes Wild website, etc, 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 and the game against Dragons D2 and whatever's happening to it will be announced. In the meantime, there was still plenty of hockey going on.
Oh, there was. Time to get with the roundup, I think.
Here we go. Okay, time for the score roundup for the last week across the Elite Ice Hockey League and the EIHA and IHL Divisions 1 and 2 North and the EIHA Women's Premier League. Starting in the EIHL Challenge Cup for the 4th of March, Belfast Giants 6, Cardiff Devils 3. In the Elite Ice Hockey League from the 3rd of March, Braehead Clan 5, Sheffield Steelers 2. Coventry Blaze 7, Edinburgh Capitals 2, Fife Flyers 2, Manchester Storm 5, and for the 4th of March, Milton Keynes Lightning 5, Fife Flyers 2, Edinburgh Capitals 4, Dundee Stars 9, Guildford Flames 4, Coventry Blaze 1. In the EIHA Women's Premier League for the 4th of March, Nottingham Vipers 1, Bracknell Firebees 9. Moving to the NIHL Division 1 North Morley for the 3rd of March, Hull Pirates 8, Blackburn Hawks D1 2, Sheffield Steel Dogs 7, Whitley Warriors 0. Moving to the 4th of March for D1, Whitley Warriors 5, Billingham Stars 0, Dragons D1 1, Telford Tigers D1 17, Blackburn Hawks D1 0, Sheffield Steel Dogs 2, Solihull Barons 5, Solway Sharks 3, Nottingham Lions 1, Hull Pirates 7. And the NIHL Division 2 North Laidler for the 3rd of March, Sutton Sting 4, Sheffield Senators 2, Bradford Bulldogs 4, Coventry Blaze NIHL 3 after overtime, Blackburn Hawks D2 4, Hull Jets 14. For the 4th of March, the Sheffield Senators 4, Bradford Bulldogs 3 after overtime, Altrincham Aces 8, Hull Jets 9 after overtime, Sutton Sting 11, Blackburn Hawks D2 0, Coventry Blaze NIHL 16, Dragons D2 2, and finally, the big crunch match of the weekend for your Widnes Wild, Telford Tigers D2 2, Widnes Wild 3. And that's the roundup of the scores from the last week across the leagues that matter, across the region. We'll have more next week. some big scores in that weekend.
Yeah, I think actually your summing up of the last match as being a crunch match, it's quite accurate really after what happened to Ollie in the last minute.
Oh, yeah?
He got boarded.
Oh, dear.
Severely boarded.
I hope Ollie's all right. As long as he's all right.
No, it was all right. I texted him this morning. He's okay. He says, I'm a bit fuzzy, he says, but it was a late hit.
Oh, dear.
So it was within the last...
Callum Bowley got done for boarding 58-24. Is that the penalty?
That's the one.
Ooh.
Just after a timeout.
Ah. We're saying nothing on that fact.
We're not saying no. We won't.
No.
Well,
No. But
it was looking at the match sheet. I think we held our tempers quite well.
Yeah, I mean, it seems Stewie Brittle had a dance early on with Callum.
Yeah.
And then Stewie got into a bit of a roughing, and so did Nick Manning alongside 29 Connor Keys. So yes, it was a lively game, and then Stewie got done for slashing again. Ah, dear. And then shortly after that, there was an interference call on Josh Hurstwick. But the scores. I mean, Ollie getting a hat trick.
Yeah, Ollie got a well-deserved hat trick.
And
we came back from, I think it was 2-1 up. They drew level at 2-2.
And Carol Jett's getting a 2-bagger, so...
Yes, so... but Ollie gets one more, so that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And the power play... Our power play is actually getting better.
Well, we may as well, while we're at it, do this. Because it's newsy related, and it's all to do with the Predictor League. Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dear listener, I've never seen a Predictor League like this. This is so unbelievably tight.
Well, your predictions were thrown out because we didn't play Saturday.
No, but we still have what I call the...
We should have a banker there.
I'm not belittling the game, but I'm calling it the gimme games.
Yeah.
But, the addition, the bonus point for Altrincham in the overtime win for the Hull Jets at the weekend, they are basically fighting to get into the playoffs. I'd say Sheffield Senators, from my predictions, are pretty much struggling now.
I can't see the Senators
they're not
getting
going to make the
anywhere
playoffs
near at the moment.
So it's a 5-team race. Sutton Sting are basically pretty much guaranteed.
Sutton Sting have either got the championship, or it could be Hull.
I mean, so far, I would say the probable minimum I've put down for Sutton's 54 points, which basically I've given a 52 points as a cut-off to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they're basically guaranteed playoffs now. So it's 4 teams fighting it out for 3 places. And any of them can take them.
I think the big game of the weekend was us winning against the Tigers. Yes. Which was a 4-point game for us.
Yeah.
Puts us ahead psychologically in the league because we played less games.
Quickly calling to the league, it has... just wait for the league table to load. Come on, league table. It's but third, but on equal points. It's just the form book.
Yes.
And game in hand, 2 games in hand. So it's tight. It is so tight between the 5th through to 2nd.
And there's not that many games left now, so
no.
Time is running out.
Very, very much so. So this weekend,
in fact, the Tigers have got 3 games left.
Yeah.
And one of those is against the Sting.
One against the Senators.
One against the Senators, one against the Hawks. So you could probably say they got at least maybe 2, maybe 4 points there. I don't think they're going to beat the Sting.
No. But looking at home, what a run out. The next 3 games.
Yeah, Jets, Aces, Jets.
Jets at home, and then the crunch weekend. Aces and Jets. 17th and 18th of March, ladies and gentlemen. 17th and 18th of March. They're both on the road, and the lads will need you.
It was interesting. I actually attended the Holland Aces game last night. And the Aces were 5-1 up at the end of period 1. Which normally would put a team back on its... rock a team back on its socks, and it wouldn't go very far. But credit to Hull, they came back. The Aces took a few silly penalties.
Well, I think a big shout out to Kieran Beach on his statistics, and Richie Hagger, Gowan Beddoes, and Kieran Beach. Kieran Beach on 3+4, Gowan on 2+2, and Richie Hagger on 2+3. They're impressive stats.
They certainly are. I mean, the ones who impressed me from the Aces was Jordan Ashington had a really good give and go with Hajek, which came up really well. Our good friend Mr. Greaves.
Yeah, he did a massive number of penalties.
Yeah, he did. And the penalties were probably what cost them the game.
Ooh. I can see the one that was very costly was getting a 10-minute misconduct in overtime.
Yes.
Ouch. He really, really must have upset the referee.
I think he was arguing about something, to be fair. But then you got this. If you look at where Hull got 3 goals back in the second period, they weren't even-handed, and they had 3 on the bounce on power play. Yeah. Sorry, it's period 2 and period 3.
Yeah, 3 consecutive ones there, though.
On the power play. So on the power play, and they are quite clinical.
Oh yeah, and they can cope with big ice, and Altringham's reasonable size ice, like Hull is, and they know how to use it. And they've been the team on the move this year. They really have been.
So, looking forward to our match, I would say we have to be as disciplined as we were against Telford.
Hull are on a 6-game winning streak, and Widnes are on a 5-game winning streak. So we're both on a similar winning streak at the moment. So anything can happen.
It can, yes.
So, and I'm going to say again, and we'll be saying it again and again throughout the show, get yourself down to Widnes for the game this weekend against Hull.
Can we have Mike's wise words?
We certainly can, if I do that. And that. And that. I think we shall have a bit of this. Oh, try again, Col.
And now on Time to Go Wild Radio, it is time to sit back and relax and enjoy Mike Marr's Monday Mantra.
And Mike's mantra this week is last night was a huge win for the boys. We played smart, simple hockey and didn't retaliate to Telford trying to put us off our game. We went 2 up, but Telford brought the score back even. We didn't quit and kept pushing forward, which got us the game-winning goal. The MVP for the night? Ollie Barron. Well deserved. Scores a hat-trick, gets boarded, and still probably walked off with a smile, or was it a grimace? That's all for this week.
For more wise words on Mike Marr's Monday Mantra.
Very, very much wise words.
They were wise. Mike's wise words came about through a bit of a challenge that was thrown to him by Ollie. And I think he's done very well every week to come up with something.
I think they're brilliant. You know, I think it's time we took a breather because we've had some interesting things. We've got plenty to come, so stick with us. You know what? I'm feeling like a bit of the darkness. Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, time just to have the usual set of reminders about our what's on, bits and bobs about what's going on around and about. Don't forget, check out widneswild.co.uk for all of your usual bits and bobs. Own and loan shirts, there's still a couple left, so check out the pages there. And, of course, we have our social media via Twitter and Facebook. And, well, I'm not sure what we've got coming up in away travel because there's a few things we're waiting to hear on, but there will undoubtedly be some away travel when we're, for next week, not this coming weekend, the following weekend, going over to Hull.
Yes.
But we've got plenty of games coming up.
Right, and Sunday the 11th of March, the Widnes Wild are at home to the Hull Jets. Face off 17:30. Saturday the 17th of March, the Widnes Wild are away to Halton Aces. Face off at 7 o'clock. The following day, Sunday the 18th of March, the Widnes Wild women are at home to the Bracknell Firebees, facing off at 17:30. Sunday, the same day, the Hull Jets entertain the Widnes Wild, who are going to be travelling across the Pennines, and we'll see what happens. The face-off there is at 5:15, quite an early one actually. And then on Sunday the 25th, the Widnes Wild take on the Sheffield Senators at home. This was down as our last league game, but due to the rearrangement, which is yet to be announced, of the Dragons D2 against the Widnes Wild, we don't know when that's going to be at the moment.
No, so keep your eye on all social media platforms and the website for all news of that.
And the next major thing that we've got coming up is the EIHA NIHL North 2 Ladle Playoffs, which last week we announced will be held at the Planet Ice Widnes on the weekend of the 14th and 15th of April. This will feature the top 4 sides from the league. And if you've been listening closely, there's 5 in contention for that. And we have 2 semi-finals on the Saturday, facing off at 16:30 and 19:30 respectively, and a final on the Sunday, facing off at 5:30. The weekend pass is available at £15 for adults, £8 for concessions. At the moment there are no day tickets initially on sale due to the rink capacity. Fans will be taking a gamble if they wait and see if any day tickets become available, so we would recommend you get your tickets anyway, because it's not bad. £15 for watching 3 games of hockey?
No, that's reasonable. £5 a game. £5 a game.
Yeah. So tickets are available from Planet Ice Widnes, whether in person or over the phone or online. More details are on www.widneswild.co.uk. And I have noticed yesterday when I was at the Altrincham Aces, they were pushing people to go online to the get the tickets from them.
Excellent. So yeah, just check out or just ask through your own clubs, and then they'll be able to sort you out with details for tickets. Now, I'm going to change the music. Oh, wrong ditty there. That's the wrong ditty. I want that one. That's better. Because it's news, but it's not, and it is and it isn't. Because the next big international event starts this Friday. Friday the 9th of March. The 2018 Winter Paralympic Games begins in Pyeongchang. So if you've all enjoyed the Winter Olympics, I would definitely recommend checking out the Winter Paralympics.
Certainly would.
Events in it will be things like alpine skiing, biathlon, cross-country skiing, snowboarding, wheelchair curling, and the one that's sort of pretty close to our own hearts and our esteemed chairman's heart.
Para ice hockey.
Yes, previously you might have known it as sledge ice hockey, but now known as para ice hockey, which there are 2 groups with sets of teams, Doug, aren't there?
Yeah, Group A has Canada, Italy, Norway and Sweden. And Group B has the Czech Republic, Japan, South Korea and the USA.
Now, I'm not confirming all of the games, but basically there are games on pretty much every day from the 10th through to the 18th of March, be it 3 games or 2 games, where you start off with the preliminaries on the 10th of March and the final semi-final, the bronze medal game on the 17th of March and the gold medal game on the 18th of March. Hopefully we'll be able to catch those games either live or re-live or through highlights through Channel 4, who are the broadcasters. Channel 4 are the broadcasters for the para.
It's interesting that there's they've got games on 7th and 8th place as well as the bronze medal ones.
The details for those I actually found through the Winter Paralympics website.
All right.
So that's why I'm not confirming them. That's why there's a bit of question mark actually I've put on those for those you listening out there in Radioland. But the main games are on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 17th and 18th of March. So yeah, it's an event.
It's
lively.
Looking at those 2 groups, it's not. You couldn't really call who's going to get it, could you?
No. Well, my usual one is on Canada and the USA, but you never know. I mean, the Winter Olympics threw up a bit of a change in things this year.
Germany came as strong, and so did the official athletes of Russia? What are they called?
Olympic athletes.
Olympic.
That was the OAR.
OAR, that was it. Yeah.
But if you're not too sure, there is. If you check out YouTube and you go through the Widnes Wild links, you can actually find some highlights done by yours truly of some para ice hockey games from the past. But if you also check out the GB Para Ice Hockey's website, they did have links through to YouTube of some previous international games, and there's some rather lively ones, including a rather decent scrap in one game. And believe me, if you think fighting and a bit of scrapping in normal hockey's lively, you should see it when they're strapped into sledges.
Yeah, was that thing? Is it T-boning?
Oh yes,
that's quite looks quite vicious. Going at full power into another sledge.
Oh yeah, but this happens in the boards.
Yes, it's just it's there's no holds barred. I think it's for sportsmen who take their sport seriously.
Oh, and having watched the Manchester Mayhem playing last year, I mean, the guys from the Mayhem, like the Kingston Kestrels, who I know is a team, they can go at a rate of knots. Well, that is reasonable. Then you start watching the top-end internationals go, and they can go at one heck of a rate of knots. And believe me, the skill level is just unbelievable.
Yeah, so should we take a break for a song, and then we'll contact our Paralympian?
I think we shall. And you know what? You might be quite flattered by this one. How about a little bit of ZZ Top and Sharp Dressed Man?
Oh, yeah.
A bit of ZZ Top and Sharp Dressed Man here on the Sam to Go Wild radio show here on Halton Community Radio. And in terms of Sharp Dressed Man, we have, all being well, on the phone our very own Sharp Dressed chairman and, para ice hockey Paralympian, Matt Lloyd. Evening, Matt.
Evening, guys.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's all coming through. So, we'll just ask just a quick bit on how you feel the season's gone so far for the Wild.
Obviously, I'd like to say we were top of the league and running away with it, but we're not. It's been a very interesting season. I think Sutton dropping down and then going and signing an ex-NHL draft player basically set their intentions out, which was to win the league, as it should be for everybody. And, it's certainly exciting as a fan, I think. 5 teams all fighting it out for the 4 playoff places.
Yeah, it's... we say every week on the show, you can barely get a rizzler between any team.
Yeah, there's obviously Sutton have now broken away, and I think they need to lose every single game they've got left in order not to win the league. So, it's theirs to throw away. Aces seem to be on an interesting run. A little bit of a gap building up there. But, the next 2 weekends are going to be killer, with Wild, Aces and Hull Jets all playing each other. And I think that's, at the end of that, you'll get a fair idea.
So I mean, I think the message to everybody out there is, wherever possible, get yourself along and support your team, whoever it is, and let's make this one cracking run out to the end of the season. I think.
Yeah, I think people don't realise how big a difference the fans actually make, and it really lifts the guys. And actually, the fans are some of the reasons that players actually want to play for the Wild, because who wants to play for one man and a dog when you can play for 300-400 Wild ones who absolutely go mad and support you?
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of involvement in the sport, of course, one of our paths first crossed in a way due to sledge ice hockey as well as ice hockey, and of course it's now known as para ice hockey, and it's going to feature big in the up and coming Pyeongchang Games.
Yeah, I mean, it's always considered the blue ribbon event at any Paralympic Games. I mean, you know, when you've got two teams of 17 put into some metal frames and given the ability to bash hell out of each other, you know, at first people stop and go, what the hell, are they allowed to do that? And then they realise that it's actually a proper sport, and they go, wow. And once they start seeing the checking and the passing and the shooting, they actually forget it's a Paralympic sport and just see it as a sport.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that, in a manner of speaking, anyone can strap themselves into one of those little sledges and whiz around on the ice.
Well, I never whizzed around on the ice. What I used to do is sit there and get a black vulcanised rubber puck smacked at my cage at about 100 miles an hour. But, you know, I for everybody else, it's very fast and frantic. But for the goalies, you know, you're a bit more settled, although, you know, the chances of coming out of a game without several bruises are minimal.
In terms of equipment, you know, just let the listeners know what sort of equipment differences there are. I mean, yes, first off, the players are sat in a sledge, but aside of that, what other major differences would you say there are?
I mean, for the outfield players, there's absolutely none. It's all exactly the same equipment, which is why it's probably taken off in America and Canada as it is, because somebody somewhere's bound to know a next door neighbour or a cousin that's played ice hockey and can then just pinch the equipment and have a go. You know, obviously you have two sticks instead of one, and they do have some spikes on the end. But it's, you know, it's pretty much everything else is standard, apart from if you're the goalie, you get to have spikes on both your blocker and your catcher.
That must be fun if somebody decides to cross your path and wind you up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was never renowned for being a wallflower. You know, and I know there's 2 or 3 people out there that have probably still got puncture marks in parts of their anatomy where they cross me. But, you know, it's the nature of sledge hockey, and it is what it is. I mean, the funny thing is that when you're an outfield player especially, you have to wear a box, because what happens is that the opposing players tend to try and get the spikes on the end of their sticks into your manly bits. And yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 people that have, you know, gone back to their wives and had to apologise for not being able to perform for the next few weeks, shall we say.
Oh dear. Yeah, it isn't. I mean, I can understand. I mean, all the players wear full cages instead of half visors and the likes, because of course you're so low down. So, you know, where normally a player, if they whip a puck and it gets a bit of height on it, might catch you in the, you know, the leg, the hip, the chest. With you being sat down in a sledge, of course, chest height is now your head, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's no joke that I used to get through probably a cage a season because my goalie cages would get dented and pushed out of shape.
I mean, have you ever actually had a puck get sort of stuck in your cage?
I haven't had a puck get stuck on my cage, but I have had one go up the inside of my trouser leg because I hadn't strapped myself tight enough into the sledge, and that was pretty painful. And I've also had a puck hit me so hard on the side of the head that, like a Newton's cradle, the sort of energy transferred through. And I remember playing against Estonia and spitting what looked like bits of polo out, and I'm sat there on the ice thinking, I haven't eaten polos, what's this? And it was only when I got off the ice I realised that I'd lost 2 of my back teeth.
Oh, crumbs. So, I mean, when did you first start playing para ice hockey?
It was September 2004.
Oh, so in a way, not that long ago, in a manner of speaking.
No, I started not long after I moved to Hull and met you, interestingly enough, Colin. Because I basically went and watched the first proper game of the Stingrays, which was August 2004 in a friendly, if I remember rightly. Found out about sledge, jumped in a sledge, and then 18 months later, I was at Paralympic Games.
Wow. So that's quite some doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's half being mental and the other half is being completely mental. And, there's not that many people that are prepared to sit in front of that bit of vulcanised rubber whilst a bunch of nutters are coming towards you at speed in metal sledges.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, we've always said that that mind is a special breed. So you just proved it, haven't you, really?
Well, it is what it is.
No, I mean, I was just, we were saying in the build-up, I mean, there's some footage, some games that I filmed with your encouragement in the beginning to sort of give me an insight into sledge ice hockey. Now, I keep calling it sledge, but it's para ice hockey. I need to use the proper name. And I was amazed, and some of the Stingrays players at the time had a go, didn't they?
Yeah, I remember we back in 2010 we staged a game which was basically Grimsby Red Wings select side, because they had a sledge team at the time, against the whole Stingray select, and we had Jeff Glower play, Matty Davis, who's still playing for the Hull Pirates, played, and we had Niter, who had been in the film Miracle. Yeah, he played as well. You couldn't get Jeff Glower off the ice.
No,
I ended up getting a...
He was loving it.
Yeah. And, there's been some great games. We also, at Widnes, if you remember, a couple of years ago, had a world select side come and play GB, and we held a camp for sledge hockey. Because, Widnes is built for sledge hockey. That's why you've got the clear perspex around the benches and the penalty boxes.
Yeah, I mean, a number of people wonder why, all of a sudden, you come to a rink and there's these half-height plastic visual sections in the bins and in the benches, and that's precisely the reason. It does make, I mean, there's some logistics about when there's penalties and changes for lines as in normal hockey, and I know one of the things that they do work around sometimes is they play the players in front of the boards instead of actually on the bench, depending upon logistics, and it can make for some interesting takes on the game.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to do that a lot in this country, is that instead of using the benches even where they're available and built, we tend to still play with the players out the front, and it makes for quicker changes, and it means you don't have to have as many people on the benches obviously operating the gates. But I think it sometimes disadvantages you in international competition because you're used to playing in a different way and you're not used to that whole process of coming in and off the bench.
I can understand that. In terms of who can play para ice hockey, are there any actual restrictions on who can play?
Not at a domestic level. So if anybody wants to join the Mayhem, the Kestrels, the Steel Kings, the Devils, or the Phantoms, they can just turn up, borrow some kit, jump on the ice, and have a go. In terms of playing at an international level, you have to be classified, which means you have to have a disability that meets a classification. The general rule of thumb is if you physically can't ice skate, then you're classified, and I mean physically, not, you just haven't got skills, then you should classify to play sledge hockey.
So it's sort of more to do with your walking ability side of things for the international level, but at a domestic level, anybody able-bodied or with, as long as you've got enough upper body strength to push yourself around on a sledge.
Yeah, I mean, there used to be a guy at the Steel Kings, I'm not sure if he's still there, who was a triple amputee, so he had one arm, and he played. Back in the days in the Kestrels, we had a goalie that was deaf. That was quite interesting. Yeah. But I'd say, the Mayhem, off the top of my head, used to be about 60% able-bodied people as opposed to disabled. And even some of those that had a disability didn't actually classify to play at an international level.
But in a manner of speaking, in the domestic game, it's one of those few that's all inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the most inclusive sport in the world, because at the end of the day, once people are strapped into a sledge, it doesn't matter how good your legs are, everybody's equal, and then it just comes down to your core muscles and your upper body strength, and if you're a goalie, how psychotic you are.
I think that goes for goalies, and even in the likes of football. I mean, goalkeepers always have the hardest job in a way, but at ice hockey, I don't know. I really wonder why you do it.
I mean, who else would take a job where basically, if you make a mistake, you're going to have thousands of people screaming at you, and actually, if you do something well, nobody really matters. I mean, it's very rare that you actually go and see everybody celebrating the goalie winning you the game. They probably have won you the game, but they're not the ones that put that final puck in the back of the net.
No.
Oh, I think it's usually the shootouts when the goaltender comes into their own in a penalty shootout, and that's when it's the player versus the goaltender, and it's time when the goaltender pulls off a save, then it's just a case of even the forward or the attacking players like that should have gone in.
Yeah, I mean, you need to talk to Kenny about that.
Oh, the one from the other week?
Yeah.
Oh, it just clipped the post.
He did try.
I think
the goalie didn't save it.
No.
So.
Oh, no.
I think there was a bit too much paint on that bit of the post, so poor Kenny missed out.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting what you said about goalkeepers, though, from the point of view of there's been one in the NHL recently who's had two 50-game shutout or two 50-game saves. So, from his point of view, or his team's point of view, he saved them the game. So I think netminders don't get the credit they deserve, but they should get more.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, it's why whenever our guys do well, I like to praise them. And it's when we had Phil Pearson there from the Bulldogs the other week. He's still on his head. He won them the game.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
There's no way he was just bigger than he normally was.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is if you actually look at the number of the stats, is that we've got sort of the best defence and goalie in the league. We've let less in than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But that, and Matt's been absolutely fantastic this season. Played out of his skin. But and he hasn't been noticed for it because of it. Because he's just consistently good, pretty much. Whereas when Phil comes and he puts in that sort of performance. And the other netminder I think that needs some praise is the one at the Blackburn Hawks D2 team.
Yes.
Luke. He's faced something like 1,200 shots. He's been run over by Lee Kemp. And, he's amazing. And you can see, he's training every day with the Storm, which helps. But you can see the progression from, the first day to now. And you're just thinking, he's going to go on to be a top goalie if he keeps his head and just keeps playing.
Well, that is a key thing for goaltenders. It's such a mental thing because I take it you maybe have the same ilk as other goaltenders I know. Some of them like to see a good amount of shots because otherwise they go cold.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. I mean, I can only speak as a sledge hockey goalie where you basically just sat there, which is effectively sitting on the ice, and you're not doing anything because all the action's at the other end. You get the fans going, oh, he's let something in from the blue line. But the trouble is, if you haven't seen any rubber all game and somebody takes a shot, you haven't got your hand-eye coordination in. And actually, the rink lights, especially at some rinks, it can be really difficult to judge where the puck is. Because, Coventry is a good example because it has a different lighting system to other rinks. It actually takes a goalie a period of time to adjust. And if during that period of time you're not getting shots on you, if somebody takes a shot from the blue line or they put it straight against the floor, it's not as easy as you think. Or you would expect it to be normally for that goalie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen it where goaltenders have let go, shots in from the blue line. I'm thinking, normally they'd stop that with the blink of an eye, and they're cold. And it's a tough one. It's a very, very, very mentally trying position to be in. But
it's the only position on the ice where you have to concentrate for all 60 minutes, and actually you have to concentrate for most of the face-offs as well. So you can come out of a game hardly looking to have done anything and be mentally exhausted.
Because, of course, typically a goaltender is the only player who doesn't change during a game.
Hey, and that's it, And, whereas, the other players get to skate around a bit and muck about when it's a face-off, as a goalie, you're trying to work out who's going to go where and what they're going to do with the puck. so you can make sure you position yourself, because a lot of it's playing angles. And, do you come and sit on the edge of your crease? Do you sit back in the net? What do you want? And it depends on who you think is going to be shooting against you, whether the puck's coming in low or whether somebody's going to sneak in at the back door.
So anybody out there who's thinking of taking up the game, I'd say give it a go.
Definitely.
I'm not quite psychotic enough to give it a go, but those of us who do, and those of us who don't, as I do, I film, or people go along and support, and there should be some para games coming to the Widnes rink in the coming months.
Yeah, there is. We've got the league at the rink.
So, I mean, in terms of the teams in the Paralympic Games this year, the countries involved, who do you think are going to be, the top teams, and who do you think might be the dark horse?
I've got to be honest, I don't think there's going to be a dark horse. It'll be Canada or America. They're head and shoulders above everybody else. Korea, as the hosting nation, might surprise people. I don't think it's enough to be considered a dark horse, but if they've got the luck of the hockey gods, who knows? I mean, historically, if you look back at all the teams that have been strong over recent years, they're actually the ones that have hosted the Paralympic Games. If you look at Italy, Norway, and you can see where the investment and development has come from. And then obviously the NHL's now really supporting sledge hockey. So, Canada and the United States, I think, one will get gold, one will get silver, and the bronze, I think, will probably be Korea, and I'd suggest probably Italy could be in there. It'd be nice to see Italy do well.
Well, so we should keep you posted, and there's going to be a fair few results coming up between now and the next show, so we shall see how this all pans out. In the meantime, how are you feeling about the run out for the season for the Wild?
Well, I've got no fingernails left. This weekend's going to be interesting. We've got the Jets. And I like to think I've got a soft spot for the Jets, having spent a lot of years in Hull and knowing a lot of people in and around the Jets. But I think on the smaller pad with the players we've got, hopefully Ollie will have recovered enough. We should have enough in the tank. But you can't underestimate Andy Daintis. He's an amazing coach. And this year he's managed to get all the players playing as he wants them to do. I think what will win and lose people games isn't the tactics or their players' ability. It'll be taking stupid penalties. We've lost games because of stupid penalties. I think that the weekend, the Aces threw away a 5-1 lead in the first period, basically on the back of penalties. And I think what will win teams' games going forward is not taking penalties and not giving up power plays. That said, I think we're far better at being short-handed than we are on the power play at times.
Having said that, watching the Jets on Sunday, their power play was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they've trained it, and they in the same way that ours was fantastic a couple of seasons ago, because that's what that was what we based it on, was getting penalties and then taking advantage of the power play. Which is a good technique, but it does rely on teams taking penalties, and once teams don't take penalties, but equally, the Jets have got some really great players. They've got Hager and Beach, who are just fantastic. And actually, Beach has that old trick that Palak did a few seasons ago, of hanging out on the red line, waiting for the loose puck, and then trying to skate in one-on-one.
Oh, well, Kieran's so fast. He can skate. Once you give him that puck, he is away with the fairies if he gets ahead of steam up. And he is a very, very quick player, as you said, like Adrian Palak. So I mean, I don't think we can say any more, but we want as many people as we can get into the Widnes rink this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it will make a huge difference, because the teams feed off the energy, and equally the opponents find it very intimidating. It's what Shanks and Paisley used to rely on at Anfield. Shanks used to get the cop microphoned up and then fed through the PA to make it even louder.
Why not? It's last bit, because of course we've got the IHA and IHL North 2 playoffs coming to Widnes. what advice would you say to anyone wanting tickets? I know you sent us a message, but give us a full shout out on how to get tickets. And
okay, tickets are only available online or through Widnes Rink, and as I speak, there's 118 left, which, bearing in mind, there's 6 weeks to go to the event, 5 weeks.
Like
it's pretty good going. So if people want tickets, they better get down, because once they're gone, they're gone. You know, Widnes is a lovely rink. It's got a limited capacity, which is one of the reasons for holding it there. You know, if you'd have held it in, I don't know, Sheffield, you know, it would have felt very, very empty. Whereas it's going to rock, and that's going to make a huge difference to the event.
Yeah, and of course it doesn't matter if your team does or doesn't make it. Come along, have a good time. There's plenty of facilities around, eateries, places to stay.
There is, and we're also putting in a bar and some extra eating facilities in the rink. So we're converting the dinky rink into a bar and pizzeria.
Oh, there we go. You've heard it here first, guys. So yeah, well, you know, it's going to be a big event, and we want it to be an event to remember for all the best reasons. Some quality hockey and some a well-attended event, don't we?
Well, that's it. It should be a well-attended event, so we've just got to pray that the teams bring their hockey heads.
Oh, I think they will. I really think they will. I mean, looking at the way the league's playing out this year, with the fact that you've got 4 teams fighting out for 3 places now, you couldn't ask for a better run out to the season. No. I mean, this time next week, everything could be completely different again. And, you know, what's going to be interesting is it's going to be impossible almost for teams to work out who they're going to be playing on the playoffs, because you probably won't know till the weekend before. Well, anyway, we're going to have to carry a little event over to next week, which is the answers to Week 17 You Make the Call, because we're running out of time. But we would very much like to thank you for coming on and having a chat about things wild, and more importantly, things para ice hockey, because, of course, I think that's going to be something for everybody to watch and get a new view of from the TV as over the coming week, don't you? Yes, definitely. So thanks for coming on the air, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
And, well, we shall keep you on there just for a sec, Matt, because we're going to close the show up with a little play out of some Run DMC and Walk This Way. But we'll be back next week with more music, more news, and more information on the world of ice hockey across the Northwest.
Good night.
And I'll be back on Thursday with Musical Mayhem from 9 o'clock here on HCR. So thanks for listening. Take care, look after each other, and keep well. Until next week, ta-ra.